This is a draft presentation of massive open online courses to support network creation. It's an attempt at trying to tell a story about how the massive open online course could be useful for the business community, for the nonprofit community, for the public sector, an attempt to try to leverage the social web for effective collaboration, for effective network creation, and as a platform upon which for people to be able to learn how to use social media effectively. And really the first question we need to ask here is, what is social media? And I think this is really at the crux of a lot of these issues, a misunderstanding maybe of what social media is and what it isn't. In a recent survey by IBM, they found that 3/4 of their clients were unsure about how to apply social media as an effective sales tool. And yet what we find is that from that same group, 74% of them, 1% less, are seeking to get education in social computing. So they're not sure how to apply it, but they know they need to get there somewhere. There's this thing out there that they're not quite grasping that they need to be able to understand in order to be effective as a business, or at least this is the way they perceive it. And I think maybe the key to getting there, and at least the first step in that process, to ask yourself the question, social for what? One of the things about social media is that it is social. It's inherently a social event, the same way that a meeting or a dinner party or any kind of encounter between people is inherently a social event. And what happens sometimes is we focus a little bit too much on the popularity of the tools that are out there. So when you look at something like Twitter and you ask yourself, what's it for and what can I do with it? It's like asking yourself a question, what's this for? What's this telephone for? How do I use it? When you bring somebody into your organization who is going to use the telephone in some way or other, you don't spend the large majority of the time that you're going to spend training these people and showing them how to pick up the telephone, how to dial the numbers, how to use the little notebook that has the numbers in it and call people and add people to the Rolodex. That whole process is really taken as understood. It's something that people will pick up. It's something that, given a need for picking up the telephone, given a reason to communicate with the people who are connected on the other side of that telephone, people are going to figure out how to use it, no matter how different or wonky your telephone may be. You can see social media the same way. In and of itself, it's a tool. It's a communication mechanism that allows you to communicate with a number of other people. Now, they all kind of work a little bit different. They communicate in different ways. Some of them are to shout out to a large number of people. Some of them are to have direct communications, maybe between 2 or 3. But realistically, they're about connecting to people, same as a telephone. So when we talk about being able to use them effectively, really, we're talking about how to collaborate with other people effectively. And that brings us back to that question of a social for what? Why exactly are we going out and being social? What kind of communication are we looking for? And in order to be able to figure out some of these tools, and let's face it, for a lot of people, the telephone was a tremendously complex concept when it first came in. The same is true with these new communications technologies. It can be difficult to understand how to use them effectively. The solution for that is not to give someone a list of the processes by which they can do it, but rather to get out there and find a way that's effective and a way that's useful to actually, like a real context to build within. So the open course is that context. It's an attempt at finding something that's important to you as an organization, an important topic, an important question, an important issue that you're dealing with, and using the course as a way of structuring that idea, a way of covering that idea with a number of other people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in. So that open course topic, the topic for your open course, and this is a course in the sense of any other, is the reason that you're being social. It gives you a way to get started. It gives you a way to get into the discussion so that while you're going through these social media tools, while you're working with them, you're actually collaborating with real people on real issues. And I'll give you an example. In March of this year, we ran an open course called Ed Futures. It's the topic that we were covering was the future of education. It was an important issue to the 700 people who decided to register. Now, those people all participated in different ways, but we centered around some main topics around this idea of futures thinking, looking at the trends inside of our industry, inside of the education industry, and how they were playing themselves out. What were some of the possibilities? What were some of the key articles written that talked about how these trends may change as we move forward and how they may affect the future of education? How does decision making come into the process? How important is it to review the way that we make decisions in order to have an effective process by which we evaluate those trends? And then the last part that we're looking at is the creative challenge. So how can we actually leverage for the creative economy? So these issues, this topic was of vital interest to the people who joined that. And there are people from all over the world, educators with with very different kinds of investment. But we came together over this. Now, during the course of that, we used Twitter and Facebook and wikis and all these other social media tools. But the tools we used were not so relevant as the topics we were covering and the process that we were engaging in. So for an open course then, what we're looking at are some really tangible returns. Learning the where and the why of social media by actually doing it, getting a sense of what blogging can actually do and how that platform can work, how it can allow you to communicate with new people, collaborate with them, work through ideas. And then actually you dig deeper into the topic that you're doing. This year, we're starting another course. We've got about 1,000 people in it right now. We're dealing with another issue inside of education. And we're going to go through that process and really dig into the material a lot deeper. You get to find and create that network of other people who are like you. That's one of the great things about openness, is that in a normal course or a course inside of a single organization, you end up covering a topic and really kind of recycling the same ideas that are already inside your organization. When you open that course up, when you say everybody who is interested in this topic can come in and contribute in their own way, you get a chance to do something a little bit different, to get new ideas, to invigorate that conversation inside of your own organization. And you end up with an authentic presence for your organization online. If you have your people inside your organization honestly collaborating through this process, integrating their own thoughts with the other people inside of their industry, you end up with a de facto presence ready-made by the end of the course that you can continue to work with. What this ends up being, you end up creating this open network, which is lifelong training. The traditional model of training, you pick a course, you find an expert, you bring them in, you spend 3 days covering a topic, and then that expert goes away, and you hope that you retain some of that inside of your organization. In this case, the model's inverted. You start the course, you go through the topics, you go like you would with any other course, you cover the material, and at the end, you end up with these connections that you can continue to learn with. These people you can continue to go through the learning process with. So if you do have a topic that you're interested in trying to cover through one of these, and you think that creating an open network is something that will work for you, give me a call. Cheers.